You can get out right now. This is probably your last window before the tides come up. He does plan on bringing up the growing expenses of the sports complex. What started online last month led to an unfounded threat against Fairlawn High School. Everyone here outside Yankee Stadium is wearing a number 2. They're in pinstripes. I'm kind of sticking out. I found the evidence that this speed bump might be a little too big.
That's it. That's what we got it.
And he was on the passenger side. Officers actually put both groups behind these barricades. There are still dozens of families out where Jermaine Woodward Jr. was hit. Unfortunately, that little boy passed away today. But if you take a look behind me, there is a makeshift memorial set up in that little boy's honor. Now, just a few feet from where that memorial stands is this makeshift speed bump that families have created here right where the little boy was hit. Why? Well, we saw the problem firsthand tonight. Cars speeding down this road so fast that when I tried to get out of my car for this live shot, one of them almost took off my passenger door. Jermaine Woodward fought back tears and anger Monday night as he raised his voice in hopes that the mayor of Jersey City might hear him.
He put a bike lane on his block. When it should have been speed bumps. There's a school right down the block. There's a library up the block. And another school up the block. There's a bunch of kids around here.
Police say Woodward's son was hit Sunday while standing in the bike lane that runs down Bostwick Avenue. Jermaine Woodward Jr. had been waiting to cross the street when he was hit.
2 cars are speeding down. One hit him. The other one ran over.
The family says about 3 weeks ago, many of the parents on Bostwick had signed a petition calling for speed bumps. Woodward and the rest of the family tells us instead, they got this bike lane that runs parallel to traffic that normally flies down this road.
Made a speed bump out here in the middle of the street. That's right. Made it.
And what did you see today, Jermaine, with that speed bump there?
100 people come flying down, and they still flying down. They can't read. They say slow down. They don't know what slow down means.
Yes, I blame the city. We need the mayor to come down here and sit on this block just for 1 hour so that he can see for himself.
Couple things I want to point out here. You're looking at the makeshift speed bump that the family has created right behind the cones and then the 2x4 that they laid in the street to try to slow down traffic. This is where that little boy was standing when he was hit by the car. He was right inside the bike lane, which I'm going to wait for this car to go by me. You can see where this bike lane is for yourself. That's how close the traffic is to the bike lane. You can see how far into the road I am. Now, we did reach out to the city several times to talk about how this road was set up. We have not heard back yet. Yes, well, we've been seeing a lot of people walking around with very large bags. As they were evacuated, they tried to just put everything they could in large bags and then get out of their condos as fast as they could. What we've been able to learn is this complex is made up of 2 huge buildings. The first one is the one where the fire started. That is called the Russell Building. The second is this one that you see right across the street from River Road. That building is called River. This building is still in okay condition right now. There might be some fire damage on the far side, but Russell is really the one that police and fire units have been working on all night tonight. What we have here is we have a very wide shot of what's been happening. Still hundreds of firefighters on this scene, but we got very close to the fire earlier. Hundreds of people have been displaced from their homes following a massive, out-of-control fire in a condominium complex in Edgewater Wednesday night.
I feel bad for these people and worried about them.
The complex, which is made up of 2 large buildings, caught fire at about 5 o'clock in the evening. By 7 o'clock, it appeared to have completely consumed one of those buildings as the walls crumbled and fiery debris fell into a cemetery that borders the complex.
It was starting right in the middle, and it took its way all the way to the end over here. They contained it down on the left side, but now I feel like they're trying to push it back to the center.
Liam Jones, who lives nearby, says when he saw smoke coming from one of the buildings, he came running. By then, he says the residents had already been evacuated, but he did hear screams as he watched the fire spread.
The middle is down to the 2nd floor, and over here now we got the 4th floor top one over. This brick part is going to go up real bad. It's mind-blowing, and to top it all off, this happened twice in my lifetime.
Many of the Avalon residents say another awful fire occurred in almost the same area of the complex more than a decade ago.
this building burnt while it was being built.
Hundreds of firefighters responded to the scene, many of them trying to protect the second building in the complex from going up in flames. The more the fire consumed the first building, however, the more we saw blue flames erupting out of the condo units.
That's probably from the gas pipes that are throughout the building.
Now, I know it's difficult to see, but you're looking at 2 school buses because a nearby elementary school is being used as a temporary shelter, and these buses are running people from this shopping center to that shelter. Ambulances are also on standby, at this point. No injuries, thankfully, have been reported since all those residents were able to be evacuated. Again, no injuries reported as of yet. After just a couple of minutes, you can't help but shake. It is so cold out here, and that's where Elijah's Promise comes in. You know, the soup kitchen is usually open for daily meals. However, tonight they'll be open all night starting at 8 p.m. so that no one has to stay out in the cold and on the streets on a night like tonight. Before the sun goes down and the bitter cold really starts to set in throughout New Brunswick, Yvette Molina is busy hitting the streets, seeking out those who might need a place to stay warm overnight.
We're getting ready for Cold Blue tonight, and one of the things and initiatives that we do is to go out into the community and let the community know that we're open this evening with the treacherous temperatures.
When temperatures drop to below 20 degrees, the city can call a code blue, essentially opening additional shelters and warming stations to keep people safe. One of them is Elijah's Promise. However, Molina doesn't wait for people to show up at her door. She loads up the soup kitchen's van to scout popular places throughout the city where the homeless stay warm throughout the day.
One of the local bakeries at French Street, where we know that some of the homeless folks and people in general stop by.
She didn't find anyone at the bakery in need of shelter, but she told the owner that he could refer people to Elijah's Promise for shelter. Then it was off to the train station, where a group of men and women can usually be found when the cold becomes tough to bear.
Let them know that if they see anybody or is trying to hang out at the train station because they don't have a place to stay, they could come down and hang out with us and stay warm.
On Code Blue nights, Elijah's Promise will stay staffed throughout the night. Though they don't have beds this week, they've already seen about 20 people overnight on average.
They have access to bathrooms, they have warmth, they have food.
Molina says though she can't reach out on the street, she tracks down with the help of the local police department and local hospitals. In some cases, the same folks who walk through the door for warmth or food will return as volunteers.
The reality is that people are grateful.
The staff here at Elijah's Promise are expecting a couple new faces during this Cold Blue and then maybe throughout the winter, and there's a good reason why. That's because there was a group that used to stay warm into the night at the Rutgers University Library. However, the university has put forth a new policy that they're checking student IDs past 10 p.m. so those folks can no longer stay at the library. That's why this soup kitchen is expecting them here, especially tonight and for the rest of this week.